Experts and representatives from OSCE participating states, civil society organizations, media and business are taking part in the two-day conference, which was opened by the OSCE Chairperson-in-Office, Irish Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Eamon Gilmore. The Internet and other network technologies have provided people all over the world with a new platform for exercising their right to freedom of opinion and expression. It has become an indispensable tool for all citizens to seek, receive and impart information. We in government have an obligation to enable our citizens to access the Internet unhindered. Yet some governments are increasingly resorting to a variety of measures to restrict such freedoms contrary to OSCE commitments and to international human rights law, said the chairperson. The conference opened with a high-level panel discussion that focused on ways to ensure that the Internet remains an open, global and public forum for freedom of opinion and expression. There are competing views about rights, freedom, security and regulations online. The discussions of freedom and rights and the discussions around security often appear to be running on parallel tracks, said Dunya Mijatovic, the OSCE representative on freedom of the media, who is taking part in the panel. We need to bring these debates and perspectives together, and we need to encourage a more interdisciplinary understanding of cyberspace governance that will help us avoid overly broad-brush attempts to legislate the Internet while enabling broad consultation. The conference will also feature 3 sessions on online content, Internet governance and human rights, and new media, social media and social networks. In this event, Azerbaijan is represented by IRFS Chairman Eamon, IMS Project Manager Gilmore, Ministry of Communication and Information Technologies Representative Bakhtiar Mammadov, OSCE Baku Office Representative Visal Behbudov, Human Rights Club Chairman Rasul Jafarov, blogger Emin Milli, and www.news.az website editor-in-chief Rahman Hajiev. IRFS Chairman Eamon Huseinov asked the OSCE representatives on how they regard the recent amendments made to the state legislation in Azerbaijan ahead of the Internet Governance Forum. Azerbaijan will host the Internet Governance Forum on November 2012. It is a very significant event in the sphere of the Internet, but unfortunately last week the authorities of our country took an unprecedented step by adopting amendments proposed by the President to the law on access to information. Experts from media and civil societies consider that these changes will have a catastrophic impact on both the freedom of information and the idea of open government. I would like to ask a question to Mr. Samat Smelia because Mrs. Hillary Clinton visited Azerbaijan last week. In her meeting with civil society, she announced that one of the priorities of her visit is to discuss the open government issue with the government and civil society. What is your opinion on the changes to the legislation in Azerbaijan with what the government wants to put legalized restrictions on the freedom of information, notably on the online freedom of information? Is it possible to develop the freedom of Internet when there is such a restrictive law? Because when citizens would like to request the government for information on how state funds are spent, the government will deny their request, citing the new legislation according to which information on state purchases is a commercial secret. So we will not be able to know who owns certain companies, or whether the owners of these companies are the relatives of the ruling family or not. Then how can we technically speak about the freedom of Internet in Azerbaijan, a country which is the member of the OSCE, and which will host such an important forum on Internet freedom and Internet governance? What can we do here? Thank you.
I'll try very briefly exactly on the issue that Eamon mentioned, and that's actually access to information law that was changed overnight in Azerbaijan last week without any public consultations, which I think it's very wrong. I do not have an answer why this happened, because Azerbaijan had one of the most advanced laws to access to information in South Caucasus and beyond. And we were working with the authorities on the guidelines, on certain bylaws in order to enable citizens to get more information. This was changed, and I directly raised it with the government. Also in a public statement, my office analyzed the law, and it is definitely not in compliance with the OSCE media freedom commitments, but also not in compliance with international standards of access to information. It can, in many ways, undermine and restrict free speech in Azerbaijan, offline and online. I do hope that soon I will meet the authorities and that we will try to change these negative developments. I still did not receive an official answer. I do hope we will have it quite soon. But when it comes to the issues that I find extremely negative, I always raise it, and this is what I did last week. In relation to IGF or any international conference or happening in any country, I'm strongly against any boycott, because I do not think that brings any results. I think, on the contrary, it raises awareness. My office is engaging also in the countries where there is a struggle for freedom in general. In Turkmenistan, we will have media freedom conference because what we need is to engage with the authorities, with civil society. We need open doors, no matter how difficult it is, because we also need to be very realistic. If we do not engage, even with the governments, even with the people we totally disagree with on all levels, we will not have any results. And on this, I'm planning also to take part together with the Council of Europe in IGF, in probably organizing a joint event on the internet. And I will use the opportunity also to meet the authorities, civil society, and to raise the awareness of the importance of free speech. There is no other way.